adversity, bring it. The struggle, I welcome it. Snooze on life, never that. I am Dave Regina, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on. Welcome back, No Snooze Podcast, episode 205. As always, I'm in the booth with the new three. We have Claudio, the voice, Valenzuela, Joe, Ice and Iron K, and I am Dave, the body, Regina. Joe K is a father, husband, and a passionate advocate for personal growth and recovery. At 23, he opened Cedar Street Grill, a restaurant in Dobbs Ferry, New York, where he honed his entrepreneurial skills. In 2017, he transitioned to the World Trade Center, becoming an operating engineer, a role he held until 2024 when he made a major career shift to become a senior account executive at a national security contracting company. Joe's journey to self-discovery and healing began in 2013 when he started his recovery from drugs and alcohol. Through fitness, cold therapy, and connecting with like-minded men, he found peace and purpose in a rigorous daily routine. Now at ACE, Action Cultivates Excellence, Joe brings his years of experience battling addiction and depression to help others who are struggling, especially men seeking to reclaim their lives. He's here to share his story on the No Snooze Podcast to inspire and support each and every one of you guys. Joe is a great friend of mine, and I'm extremely happy to have him here on the podcast. Welcome to the podcast, my brother.
Thank you for having me, brother. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, man. So first and foremost, I want to tell you, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your contribution to Action Cultivates Excellence. And thank you for the friendship, my brother.
Yeah, likewise, man. I mean, you know, you and Sean did a podcast. I slid right into your DMs, and that was kind of, what I was looking for. I was looking for not a change in friends, but I knew that I was changing my life, and I wanted to be around, people with a growth mindset. So I said, let me DM this guy. Turns out work out the same gym.
Yep.
Love at first sight, bro. Here we are.
Yeah, I got to be honest about this one, and I'm not advising anyone to do this because I can't work out with each and every one of you guys. But, Joe had slid into the DMs, so we'll call him Joey DM. And, he was basically like, listen, man, if you're around, let me know a certain time and we'll just get a workout in. Yeah. You didn't say like anything specific about like, let's do business, let's do this, let's do that. And for me, I love connecting with like-minded individuals. So I looked at your page and I saw what you were all about. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'll get after it with this dude. I did want to make sure, I saw you were a pretty big dude, but I did want to make sure that I could bench some heavier dumbbells than you. So I made sure we did some dumbbell presses that day as well.
Yeah, you got that. I think I still got you on the bells for right now.
Absolutely.
But your swing's looking pretty good these days. So I could thank Pat Damiano for that.
That's right.
I know that took a lot of work, but yeah, man, this past year has been fantastic. It's been great getting to know you. Seriously.
Thank you, my brother. I just want to know, though, why is Action Cultivates Excellence so meaningful to you? And why is it something, obviously your relationship, with Sean is something that, I think exposed you to it right away from day one, like even with early concepts and ideas. But beyond that, you've kind of dove all in, man. You've established yourself as a leader within the community. So why is it so meaningful to you?
Well, because if I learned anything from my experience with depression, addiction, battling, all that kind of that mental health journey is working out is a part of it. It's just a part of it. The connections that have to be made in order to sustain that healthy mindset, there's different chapters of your life you're going to go through. And you need to understand that with each chapter means growth. So the first chapter was I started working out and started getting my physical health in order. The next chapter was ACE, connecting with other men, being useful. When I first got sober, I was going to AA a lot. And I love AA just, for no reason other than probably being lazy. I haven't been in a while. The first thing they say is if you want to keep it, you have to give it away.
Life of service.
Exactly. So I look at Ace as, a vessel for me to kind of give it away.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, Ace means a lot to me.
Awesome.
It does.
I'm going to take you on a little journey today.
Okay.
Right. And first I want to start with the career shifts.
Sure.
So in your 20s, you took a leap of faith with your restaurant, Cedar Street Grill. How did you manage that pressure at such a young age? It seems a little overwhelming when I'm thinking about it. And what did you learn about leadership and resilience, or it could have been nothing during those early years?
Well, the first thing that I learned was that I was not ready for it. Restaurants have always been a big part of my life, and my brother's life. My grandmother owned restaurants, and it was kind of a rite of passage in my family. When you were 13, you started washing dishes at a restaurant, and I was good at it. I was good at the fast pace. Wheeling and dealing. Listening to the guys at the bar, and I loved it. But when I opened up that restaurant, I was not ready, and dealing with the pressure was me anesthetizing with drugs and alcohol. So I didn't handle it very well at all. And, we opened in 2011, 2013, I found myself in rehab. So, I could sit here and say that, I was a young leader and, I was confident, and I was not. I was not. And that all kind of came to a head in 2013. But I did learn a lot. I did learn a lot about myself. I learned a lot about the business. And, but yeah, as far as how I handled the pressure, I did not handle it.
Yeah. I think one of your best attributes is your ability to be honest. You're a brutally honest dude. I find myself, the same way. I think that's why we relate. But I think that's okay, man. Being able to look back, it'd be nice if we knew this in our 20s, right? Things would have been a little bit
myself and some other people some heartache, but here we are.
But I think it's still so helpful for people, because even if you are in your 30s and you're still in that place that Joe is talking about now, you can always get out of it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And you just really have to make that first step. So for you, what was the first step? I mean, I guess it was rehab, but did you get fully sober in 2013?
I did. And then I got unsober. So a lot of my recovery journey has been relapses. And I'm not ashamed of that, because everybody's recovery looks very different. The rock bottoms look different. I know people that they got sober at 20, had a lot to do with their parents, and that was enough rock bottom for them, and they stayed sober. For me, that wasn't enough. So 2013, I went to rehab. I came out, I was sober for maybe a year, just kind of white knuckling it and kind of just waiting until everybody kind of backed off before I went at it again. And then it was, first it was just, alcohol. In 2013, alcohol and cocaine. And then by 2015, it was pills. And that's kind of where things took a different kind of a turn. But yeah, my recovery has been a lot of relapsing and a lot of comebacks. But
I think that's part of the journey, my brother. And, recovery means a lot to me.
I know
just with my mom, she's 6+ years. Shout out to my beautiful mother.
Shout out,
her
Mom.
Whenever I can. But I actually just attended, it was her 6-year anniversary, right? And we went to an AA meeting. And I apologize to listeners if I told this story on the podcast already. But it did just happen recently. I know I've spoken about it, but if this is a repeat, I do apologize. So the keynote speaker was a lady who was 41 years sober, right? But she got sober at like the age of 19, which was very young. But she was like, listen, I was like in the subways, giving blowjobs to men. Like that's how low in her life she was at the age of 19. So she made this switch. She's now 41 years sober. She was delivering her keynote. And she said, I want everybody to just think of the reality of what addiction really is. You give your life away to a liquid. You give your life away to a powder. You give your life away to a pill. So she was encouraging everybody to take that back. And it reminded me of individuals who have negative thoughts and depression and anxiety. If that's you, you're giving your life away to a thought. Something that's not even, at least they're giving it away to a liquid and a pill. That's a substance.
Right.
The negative thoughts are only a thought. So do not allow yourself to give your life away to this thought, and it was a great analogy that she was given. And it's amazing to be in a room. Shout out to the whole AA community and just the entire recovery community, because you have people who are not even sober that are there, right? They're drunk and they're there. But the first step is going and attending, and I love being there to support my mom. I get emotional though in there, man. I really do. I feel everybody's story, and it's just something that I definitely wanted to share. Yeah,
it's a very emotional place, because I feel like a lot of people, if not all, have some form of a connection to addiction, even if they're not an addict. Because the thing about addiction is, and being an addict, is the people around you suffer more than you. And it's just the way it is. And that's what makes it so hard. People are watching you on a high wire, and there's nothing they can do. You're the one who has to get down, hopefully get down safely. But, AA and, like just the community of recovery is so special, because they're some of the most amazing people you'll ever meet. Some of the most, gritty, and what they've been through. And if they could just break the chains of this one thing, they could have the world. But it's hard. It's very difficult. So when you see somebody up there who's been up there for 41 years, it hasn't been an easy 41 years of sobriety. That is a tough woman. That is a tough woman who's done a lot of work on herself.
Every day,
because it doesn't go away. It's a lifelong disease. You were talking about your thoughts. And that's why you have to move a muscle, change a thought. You have to be active. And that's one thing that really I think about all the time now, is when I got out of rehab, nobody suggested movement. Nobody. They suggested antidepressants. They suggested therapy, but they didn't suggest finding the dog, because you're in the fight. You're in the fight of your life. You're in the fight of your life, and there's no pill. There's no therapist that can just get you out of it. You have to get out of it. And a lot of that is moving your muscles and get moving and building confidence. So when you see a lot of those people up there, been up there 41 years, a lot of the time what they don't talk about is, all the daily work that they still put in between prayer and movement. I mean, a lot of the people I see, who have a lot of years in recovery, they do a lot of moving.
I love that. And it's, as you're saying it, I just kept thinking about it. Move a muscle, change your thought. Move a muscle, change your thought.
Yeah.
There's another great one, that action alleviates anxiety.
Exactly.
Period. You know what I mean? And it's along that same token. So I'm actually going to switch, because now I don't really care about your transition right now from jobs. I think I want to stay on the recovery and personal growth. And as we're there, I just want to shout out Frank Vos and Reps for Responders. The work that they're doing in the just mental health space, not only for first responders, but really for everybody. There's outlets all over the place. So whether it's a podcast that's going to ignite the start of your journey, if you're listening to this in early 2025, and whether you're you identify as an addict or not, if you just want to change your habits, this is a perfect time to do it.
Absolutely.
So shout out to Frank and his entire team with Reps for Responders. Let's talk about that muscle, right?
Sure.
What role has fitness played in the recovery, and how did you discover its importance in rebuilding your life?
So, for a lot of years, since I was younger, diagnosed with depression very early.
How early?
I think about 14.
Really?
Yeah, 14. I had a tough time getting up and out of bed, and, my parents got divorced at a young age. I had some trauma, not from that, but from other things. And I never really dealt with it. So they started putting me on SSRIs, antidepressants. And those did not work, because they didn't make me feel happy or sad. I couldn't feel anything. So as I got older and into my 20s, so that's why I used a lot of drugs, because at least drugs made me feel a certain way. At least I could feel, at least I could feel high. I just wanted to feel. But now with having a family and, getting moving and getting into fitness and gaining confidence is everything as a leader of the house. Because it's not about how you look, it's about how you feel. How do you feel? And working out hard makes me feel good. It makes me feel strong and gives me purpose.
I'm looking at you and you're ripped, right?
I know, thank you.
I know, thank you. Not as ripped as me, but you are ripped. Were you always ripped?
No, I was overweight. I would go from overweight to skinny because of the drug use and, back and forth. And then I dabbled in steroids when I was younger in my 20s, which I do not suggest to any young kids. For one, that look is not it anymore. I really believe that the look now is fit and healthy. But yeah, I mean, I have, my body type, I have a slow metabolism. So I put on muscle pretty easily, but I also put on weight very easily. So, working out and now changing my diet has played a big role in it too. And that's why I never thought that, I always thought I'd have a belly, And then when I changed my diet and I started doing more functional fitness along with bodybuilding, that's when I started to really kind of harness the more ripped look, as you said.
I got you. And now part of this fitness routine is cold therapy for you, right? So Joe also runs Ice and Iron. Wow, I have my Ace shirt, but also under this shirt, I have the Ice and Iron shirt on. And for those who are not familiar, Joe leads alongside Dr. Nicholas Menente. They lead our cold plunges for Action Cultivates Excellence. Absolutely. But cold plunging has really changed your life. Right. And I think there is a misconception with cold plunging because people just think, oh, I'm going to cold plunge to get ripped. Or, I'm sure there are extreme recovery benefits to it. But I don't think that's the primary reason that you're doing that. Right. Can you explain the purpose of cold plunging in your life and how you kind of got started into it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, simply put, I ran into another bout of depression. This time it was bad. It affected my family. And kind of the same thing where I went to a doctor and the doctor was starting to suggest SSRIs and antidepressants. And I really got home and I had the prescription for the antidepressants or whatever else they prescribed me for anxiety or whatever it may be. And I sat at the end of my bed and I said, and I swear to God, I said, I'm just going to do what Joe Rogan does. I really look up to, I'm just going to do what he does. He's been cold plunging. I look up to Wim Hof. What does he do? I started surrounding, because I was very alone at this time. I had some friends around. Nick and Sean stepped back into my life, but I was still, in a weird place. And I was probably on the verge of relapsing, to be honest. And I said, forget about the physical benefits. I just want to feel good. And whatever that takes. So I went out and I bought a 150-gallon Rubbermaid stock tank that they use on farms, I guess. Filled it up with cold water. And when I got in, I felt relief. But I also felt the dog. I felt like a Viking sitting in there. And I said, okay, I could do this. This is something I could commit to. And that journey of doing something hard and choosing to suffer like that, that flipped a switch. And when that flip switched, the victim mentality that I've had my whole life kind of started to come to realization that it's not going to work anymore. The blame, and this is all from doing something hard. This is all from chosen suffering. And as I started cold plunging and as I started working out and as I started getting into functional fitness, like I was bodybuilding the whole time. I was never wanted to use a kettlebell or a steel mace, I didn't see the point. But I was open now to, I heard functional fitness makes you feel good. I heard you feel more healthy, more agile.
Explain the difference between, like a standard bodybuilding versus functional fitness.
Yeah. So, my routine, when I was doing steroids, when I was working out, there's nothing against this routine. It's just, was your regular bro split, chest tries, back buys, leg shoulders, on that same routine. And one, it got boring. And two, I stopped seeing results. And again, looking at certain guys I looked up to, like Rogan or Jocko Willink, or a lot of these guys, they were using kettlebells and they were using the steel mace. So I went out and I started dabbling into it. I've quickly found out that you need somebody to show you, as you know. And Nick was the first one who showed me how to do a kettlebell swing. And immediately felt it in my core. And that was something I had never felt before, just from bodybuilding style workouts.
Right.
And all of a sudden a six-pack started coming in. I talked to Pat Damiano about this all the time. A lot of these times you see these guys, they're jacked up, but they have these bellies. They're not doing any core.
Right.
And when you work with kettlebells and the mace and the clubs and the Bulgarian bags, you're working everything, everything. So, now it's, I do chest, we do chest, we do push days. And then other days, we're weekend warriors with Pat. Other days, is kettlebells and bodybuilding. So it's more fun now.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about somebody who is listening to this podcast and is like, I'm not getting a 150-gallon tank. F that. I can't do it. Okay. Right. I am kind of on the opposite spectrum of that because I don't cold plunge every day.
I know.
But when I go to the gym, which is primarily 6-7 days a week, and I shower at the gym, I take a cold shower. I just gun it to cold and I get in. And now what that does for me, I don't do it for any level of recovery. I do it for a mental resilience, you know, and to establish control in my life. Because the second you get into either a cold plunge, which I've done many times, or a cold shower, your breath is no longer yours. You have to establish control, right? And take back your breath. So anybody who is out there, my advice would be to start with a shower and take your regular shower, take it warm, right? But if it's something that you want to dabble in, and again, January is a perfect time to create new habits, new routines, new rituals, gun it to cold at the end of your shower and take 10 long, deep breaths. Start with that. And I even have coaching clients of mine now that challenge alone is the hardest thing that they've ever done.
Yeah.
And I bring a brutal honesty to it. And I'm like, if you can't make a decision to get in a cold shower and take 10 breaths, what makes you think that you are qualified to lead your family, to lead your business, to lead your partner? If you can't say that you're going to do something and commit to a journey of actually doing it, what makes you believe that you can do all these other things in your life? Right. And that's the connection that it does for me. Do you have any specific advice for anybody who's looking to cold plunge? Are you the type that's just like, get the 150 gallon, throw the ice in it and just dive all in? Or do you have like gradual steps?
You could do that. You can go grab the 150 gallon. Look, if you want to take control of your life, take control of your life. Go to Tractor Supply, go buy the tank, fill it up with water, fill it up with ice, and just get in and just take control right off the bat. You just dive in. Or everybody's different. I like that approach of getting into your normal shower and ending it on cold. But you do have to get used to telling your mind who's in charge. You have to start getting into that mode of, you know, I know you're telling me to get out. I know, but that could be the devil, man.
Right.
The devil's telling you that you can't take it anymore. It's too cold. Nah, it's not cold enough. I'm going to stay in for another 10. And then, you know, that's what a cold plunge will teach you. And you know this because you've done it so many times. After 30 seconds, you start to get a little comfortable.
You're good. I'll stay.
You start to like get a little comfortable in there, and I'll stay for a little while.
Yeah. But the first 30 seconds, let me be very clear. Let me be very clear. The first 30 seconds are atrocious. It's terrible. I'm not going to lie to you. CV's in the back. He's still got his beanie on. But yeah, no, that's the hard part is the initial, you know, like getting in.
But, you know, when we do the cold plunges for Ace in the Lake, which is even harder than a regular cold plunge, you know, we tell people stay in to the point where you want to get out, but you don't, and then stay in for a little bit longer. And that's the practice. That's the real art of cold plunging, is forcing yourself to do it, telling your mind who's in charge. Because especially as an addict, I mean, my thoughts can take me, I can justify anything. I don't have to cold plunge today. You know, I did it yesterday. It's cold out. And that thinking and that ruminating and that justifying could lead me to a very dark place. You know, I constantly have to tell my mind who's in charge, even when it comes to what I eat, whatever I do.
Yep. Let's stay right there. You said dark place. Many people face deep struggles, whether it's that, you know, addiction, whether it's depression, whether it's the constant just negativity in their life, whether it's a toxic relationship, whatever it is. What would you say to somebody who feels stuck and doesn't believe that they can change their life like you've done?
Well, the first thing is, I don't care how old you are. I don't. You could be 25 or you could be 35 or 40. That's just an excuse. That's an excuse that your mind is telling you because they don't want you to get uncomfortable and it doesn't want you to grow. So stop telling yourself you're too old, number one. Number two, you know, everybody's journey is very different. So you might not be financially where your friends are who started their careers when they were 20, and that's fine. Don't let that hold you back. All this outside stuff has nothing to do with you. To take control of your life, you have to start putting a habit and a routine into place. Once you start doing that, and you'll start to see the vision of how you can get out of this dark place. But it starts with steps. And it starts with some kind of a routine.
Mm.
So I highly suggest you implement some kind of a routine that you can handle and stick to it. And then you're going to slowly feel yourself getting out of whatever hole you're in. But it's action. It's all action.
Great advice. Are you looking to elevate your brand with captivating visuals and immersive sound? Look no further than the home of the No Snooze podcast, Kai Visions Productions, your go-to destination for cutting-edge audio and video production. At Kai Visions, we don't just create content, we create experiences that leave a lasting impact. From podcasts, YouTube variety shows, sleek corporate videos, to attention-grabbing promotional campaigns, our team of experts is dedicated to turning your vision into reality. Choose Kai Visions for a production experience like no other. It's time to make your brand known. Contact us today at kaivisions@gmail.com or find us on Instagram at Kai Visions. Kai Visions Productions, where audio-visual excellence meets innovation. Now, back to the epi. Now, how do you, speaking on the routines and habits, how do you personally structure your day to ensure that you're always making progress? And I know you take a day off just like everybody, but for the most part, you're always progressing in your life, both mentally and physically. So how do you structure your personal day?
Well, I always give myself enough time. I don't do well when I'm rushing around. You know, some days we're rushing around. That just is what it is. You're a father, you're a husband, you're busy. But I always try to give myself enough time. I never work out on my family's time. I always work out either very early in the morning or when my son's maybe napping on the weekend or whatever it is. I don't let that interfere my family time. So yeah, I mean,
you cold plunge first in the morning? Or
yep. So
first thing?
I cold plunge first thing in the morning. Right now, I'm probably cold plunging 3 to 4 days a week.
Okay. Walk me down this path. Sure. So you wake up, right? Because I'm thinking of my life. I wake up cold because I sleep at 61 or 62 degrees. Now, do you just take your ass outside and go right into the cold plunge, or do you have like a coffee or something? Like, talk to me about it.
No, I usually just put my bathing suit on and then just stand in front of the door. Don't even go outside and just try to talk myself into it. And then pause. And then sometimes I turn around, stare at the stairs, and then it's a battle. It's a battle. I'm not going to say that I'm that kind of beast who just wakes up out of bed and just goes and jumps in cold water.
Freezing, bro.
I'm fighting with myself every morning. I don't want to do this, but I always feel better after I do it.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll jump in a cold plunge. You know, it's pretty cold out these days, so I'll do 2 to 3 minutes. I never really do more than 3 minutes anymore, to be honest. Get changed up, head to the gym, give myself enough time there, come back, have breakfast with my son, take him to school, go to work. And I always give myself enough time to make sure I can do all those things and not feel rushed around.
You know, Joe, I got to be honest with you, man. That is huge. And it's something that I typically don't hear when I ask about habits and routines. So that's gold, man. I think even for myself, like I love to give myself time, but having a child, and again, it's not an excuse, but there is a big shift, right? Like, you know, you can have this plan in place and then boom, your child just throws you off course and I got to go to the bathroom. I got to do this. I got to do that. I'm sick. You know, your night's sleep sucks, you're sneezing all night, you're coughing all night, whatever. So giving yourself enough time is definitely something that I think all of us can even implement, right? Because I find even when I wake up 15 minutes earlier, right? Like that 15 minutes is massive.
Yes.
So I think that's a great little nugget for everybody. And again, new year, new opportunity to do different things, right? Set that alarm, even 15 minutes, 15 minutes earlier. Great stuff.
And you know, the no snoozing is important. I'm not just saying that because here we are on No Snooze podcast. Stop snoozing. If that's what you're doing these days, you just have to get up and say, this is just what we do now, you know, and you eventually get used to it. And yeah, every day, you know, some days are harder than others. It's cold outside. I get it, man. You know, I'm not David Goggins, you know, I'm a regular guy who's implemented this and it's worked, but you have to tell yourself that this is just what I do now.
Right. And, you know, the whole concept of no snooze is exactly that, right? The name came about. Yes, I was an early riser, but that to me is literally the first decision that you have to make in your life. The first thing you see in that morning is that snooze button. But the iPhone has actually given you the ability to take it off. Like mine doesn't even say
really?
snooze anymore. Mine says stop.
Damn.
So you could remove it from the alarm. But I think that's the first opportunity for most people to take control. And I know a lot of people now, and not just, again, because of the podcast by any means, but because they understand the level of control that they're looking to develop into their lives. So that snooze button really is the first bad decision that you're making, right? So like that alone is huge. If you can just go into now a new week, a new month, a new year, and stop hitting that actual snooze button, like you're basically telling yourself, and this is how I always explain it, like, it's okay to go back to sleep on my dreams and aspirations.
Right.
Like it's okay.
Exactly.
I'll just go back to sleep for 10, 15 minutes because I want to be comfortable now.
Right.
Versus getting up and attacking your day. Like, you know, there's no scientific benefit to going back to sleep for 15 minutes. What is the
there's
alarm?
a lot of negatives.
Yeah.
There's a lot of negatives to going back
What
to
is the
sleep.
snooze alarm actually? How long is it?
I think it's 8 minutes.
It's like, hey, CV
Hey.
never snoozed on life. Yeah, man. But that's I love that. And then thank you for pointing that out. What would you say is one habit that you've consistently practiced besides cold plunging or working out that has had the biggest impact on your mental health?
Connections. Because connections with friends, family, it's work. We're all busy. You know, you have to put effort into calling Dave on Fridays, seeing how the week went. You know, there's work involved with it. But my connections are everything. You know, the checking in thing is something that is very underrated as far as what that's gonna do for you. And a lot of the time you check in and other people have stuff going on and you're just hearing them. And that helps you. And that brings it back to ACE. When you're part of the ACE community, you're hearing a lot of what's going on with other men in their lives. And without even talking, you're gaining so much, you know?
And that's something you do extremely well. You know, two things you spoke about. One is the more time thing. Joe is somebody who shows up on time all the time. There's never been a time that I've, you know, had plans with Joe and he has not been on time. And I love that you're a man of your word.
Absolutely.
You're an extreme man of action. But also that last piece again is huge. Talk to me about your inner circle and the importance of finding the right people in your life, whether it's a community like ACE or not. But for somebody who really knows that, wow, like my closest friends, maybe it's your partner. A lot of people keep negative individuals around them and they don't understand that that's actually the thing that's holding them back, right? Those are the ankle weights because once you release those ankle weights, like you're going to be able to flourish, but it's a hard thing to do. Yeah. I'm sure you've done that many times in your life because I'm sure you had the people that you partied with. That's the same thing for me too. Talk to me about the importance of keeping a strong, like-minded community.
Right. Well, first off, you know, when you have the ankle weights and they're dragging you down, what you're scared of is that time in between where you don't have the friends you used to. And I think Chris Williamson talks about this a lot. I know Nick talks about this all the time. You don't have your old friends. You're not ready yet to be with your new friends. And so there's this weird period where you're really by yourself. And that's the real work period. You know, that's when you're trying to attract Dave Regina and Sean Degnan and Nick, you know, and that's kind of like what I went through was, I had to become or work towards becoming who I wanted to be around. And when I started doing that, you know, people started surrounding me. More of those kind of people started surrounding me. So yeah, I mean, your inner circle is a direct reflection of not just you, but where you want to go. You know, if I didn't have the inner circle I have today, I wouldn't have switched careers. I wouldn't have honestly, I wouldn't have believed in myself. You know, your inner circle will get you to a point where you really I really believe in myself, bro. Like there wasn't too long ago, it was not very popular to bet on me. I probably would not have bet on me. But now, after what my circle has shown me and the work I've put in with you guys, hey, you've told me many times you'd bet on me. If Dave Regina is going to bet on me, I'm going to bet on me too. You know, and that's the power of your inner circle.
And you do an incredible job too at, you know, those check-ins that you were talking about. And yeah, you know, it's gotten me to a place because I'm in a point in my life where like, I'm not pouring into relationships unless I see a value exchange. Right now, if you're coming and you're paying for the community and now I'm, or me or Sean are leading somebody and we have to, you know, do a keynote or do a dinner or something like that, that's different. Right. But like, I don't really take the personal time to invest in relationships unless I see a real value exchange, right? Like I'll lead with service, but
Right.
like over time, if you give me nothing back,
Mhm.
I will eventually fade away.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's not like a level of, I'm just being brutally honest because of how I need to move in my own life. Right. But you're one that like when you were going for that job, like I called and prayed with you because I'm like, you know what, like this man he deserves this. Not only the opportunity, but also, you know, I wanted to show you how much you mean to me. You know, and I do want to talk about that transition because that's something that I think, you know, a lot of people they're going to work and maybe they're not too happy, right? And I don't know if you were happy or not. That's not really the point. But the transition from working at the trade center to national security contracting seems like a massive change. It's almost engineering to sales.
Yeah.
Pretty much what it is, right? How did you make the decision? And what's the biggest challenge you faced in stepping into a completely new field?
So being in the restaurant business from when I was 13 to 29 or 30 was like, that's all I know, you know, and not that this matters, but I don't have a college degree. You know, I don't have anything specific that I know what to do. So when I got out of the restaurant business, you know, my options felt very limited. And one of my best friends, his father, who I love till today, got me in the construction union. And, you know, I thought that was a great job. You know, I was doing pretty well. And then, you know, I topped out. But when I topped out, I felt this level of, I felt the roof, you know, and that kind of made me depressed.
Not just money wise, but life wise.
Both. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt like, oh, this is going to be it for the rest of my life. And, you know, so I stayed in the job and it was okay. But I always kind of was like, man, I'd love to do something else. But, you know, I don't believe in myself enough to do it. And I really didn't because, you know, I thought I'd screwed up so much in the past that to leave this steady job would just be like, here we go again with Joe. You know, he's had enough of this one. But yeah, I mean, one of my best friends who's helped me get sober many times. And, you know, we play music together and we were playing guitar one night and he was like, bro, are you happy? And I was like, yeah, you know, I'm happy. He goes, no, like your job. Like, I was like, nah. And like, it almost made me sad because like, I was like, I'll just never have that. I'll just never have a job where that's going to be my life. Like I love my family. I love my friends. I love working out. I just hate my job. And he was like, well, it doesn't have to be that way. You know, he's like, you could come interview, you know, come work for me. And I was like, damn, like this guy has seen me bad. And he's betting on me because of how I changed my life on the outside. And, you know, me and you cleared your schedule. You know, even though the interview was with my friend, you were like, you know, we're sitting down. You know, we prayed, we did the interview. I feel like I nailed the interview because of that, to be honest. And they offered me the job. And I remember talking it over with you and talking over with Sean and Nick and, you know, Daniela and you guys all being like, yeah, bro, you could do whatever you want. Like, we believe in you. And I believed in myself. So, you know, to make that big transition job wise, it's all about belief. You know, and you can manifest and you could think manifesting is, you know, listening to a good song in the car and then you envision your life that way. That's not manifesting. Manifesting is changing your life and taking action and then taking the chances to go get it. And that's what I did. And, you know, so far, so good. You know, financially, things have gotten better. I'm happier. I love my job now. I get to work with two of my best friends. It's great.
That's awesome. I think that's an incredible story, just for everybody to hear. But also, I don't think this is by coincidence by any means, man. I think it's guided by a higher power that knows. And you talk about belief. I think he believes in you.
Absolutely.
And not to get too, you know, into the faith-based thing, but I truly believe that, man. I believe that the universe will meet you exactly where you're supposed to be, and opportunities will present themselves when you commit to a process, but also believe in yourself. That's beautiful, man. Go ahead.
I mean, that's like, you know, the universe will provide, but you have to provide for the universe. You know?
Yep, absolutely. So leadership, you know, is now especially a recurring theme in your life. So whether it's through your career or in your personal journey, what do you believe is the most important trait of a true leader? Tough question, right? Because there's so many traits.
Tough question, but I think me and Sean just spoke about this. It's being humble. Being humble enough to adjust, being humble enough to look at yourself and take ownership and say, oh, You know, I wasn't doing that right. And, you know,
Now, when you're saying humble, but you're giving the description, it sounds like accountability. To
absolutely.
me.
Yeah.
So
Well, there's the humbleness of understanding that maybe the way you were doing things wasn't the right way.
Okay.
And, you know, being okay with change and, you know, being okay with still learning and not knowing everything. And that's what I found in all true leaders is they're able to be humble, you know, and they're able to be humble in success too. But the leadership in my family and my personal life is the most important, like by far. You know, I was telling you this morning, RJ's potty training, which is nuts. But you know, he's turning into his own person. And like he's not gonna be me or exactly who I want him to be. He's gonna be who he is. But the only thing I could do is just lead by example. You know, show him what a man's supposed to look like, show him how a man's supposed to treat a woman, show him, you know, not drink in front of them, man. Like, I don't think kids understand, or parents understand how detrimental that could be. You know, when you're getting drunk in front of your kids and they see you like that.
I don't know if you remember, I think we were sitting at, it was probably Nick's baby shower. You and I had a conversation. I think it was there. Maybe I'm wrong. But you said, you know, one of the proudest things for you is that your son has never seen you pick up a drink.
Yeah.
Now, why is that?
Because, I mean, for one, because I think I know what could happen if I did pick up a drink in front of him and, you know, like how dark that road can go. But I didn't grow up with a strong male figure in my life, you know, and I feel like that really hurt me. I feel like that really messed me up. And especially in my later years, like in my 20s and stuff. And if I'd had somebody in my life, like, you know, like a father who was, you know, strong and sober, and I mean, it's the greatest gift you can give a young boy or a young girl is that kind of, you know, Rock of Gibraltar. So the proudest thing is that I'm in control, always around him.
I love it, man. And you know, my personal journey now, a year in, it's a beautiful thing, man. And I look to you, you know, as a leader in that space and in recovery. And I go to you for guidance in many things in life. But that's one of them, man, that, you know, you just have great, you give me great wisdom when it comes to it. And you've been a huge inspiration for me to, you know, not pick up a drink.
Yeah.
And I will formally say it again. Sean and I had the conversation, but didn't declare it. I am going for another year of sobriety, baby. Locked in. You heard it here first.
I think what you and Sean and Nick are doing is important because, you know, like for me, I am an addict through and through. I mean, I have a clear-cut reason not to drink. Almost makes it easier. When you don't have that, you don't have that past where it's like, now you're just drinking just to be the best parent you can be, just to be the healthiest you can be. You know, there's a lot of excuses to say, you know, I could have a drink. So I think what you guys are doing is incredible, man. I really look up to it.
Thank you. But I will also dispute, and I will, you know, say this in a, hope it doesn't come out negative, but like, I think Sean, Nick, myself, we are all addicts, right?
Yeah.
When you look at the habitual piece, right? Like we are addicted to personal and professional development.
Absolutely.
And anybody, not just the three of us that we're talking about, but you know, you look at really anybody that's in this space, like those are addictive behaviors, right? And I've been able to read, to learn that no addiction is a good addiction, right? That addictive, you know, need, that desire, that I gotta get it done is something that, like, if you do go down a rabbit hole of negativity, like who knows, at any point that can transition to something negative. And that's why I think for me, you know, not drinking is so important, because I made a lot of bad decisions, you know, when I drink. I mean, the most, like, probably the poorest decisions of my life have been made under an influence, right? Which is super, super important to acknowledge that and to realize it. So I actually, and you know, I like not drinking now, man. It's a cool feeling for me. You know, like I've shared many times that I was very fearful because I was always a social butterfly. And like, for me to not have a drink, like I was the guy, like, give me the drink and a shot.
Right.
I was that guy.
Yeah.
So now, you know, at first I was so petrified to feel like, oh, you're not drinking? What are you, an addict now? Or like, you're Mr. Cool,
Right.
you're sober. Yeah, I am sober, and yeah,
Right.
I do think I'm cool because
Right.
of it. It's kind of become like a little superpower of
Right.
mine,
Absolutely.
And I'm also gaining. I'm seeing that even with my close friends, who still drink,
Hmm.
they're actually giving me a little bit more respect.
Yeah.
Which is a really good feeling, man.
Yeah. Because you start to realize that it's not about cool anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, life's not a joke, man. Life is very real, and it could go just like that.
Yep.
You know, and you want to be, you know, the strongest you could be in the room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want to garner that respect, and a big part of that is being in control all the time. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and commanding that, you know, presence.
Mm.
And if you've never done it before, and you're like, look, you know, I don't even drink that much, whatever. I challenge you to not drink for 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Just 30 days.
Rashad was saying the same thing.
Just do 30 days
Yep.
and see what happens. Do that and work out 3 days a week.
Mm.
Let me know how life gets.
I love it. How do you balance being a strong leader for your wonderful wife, Daniela,
Yeah.
and RJ,
Mhm.
while also maintaining the connections and the busy world that you're in?
How do I balance it, you said?
Yeah.
Well, like I said before, I don't do a lot of things on their time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a family man. I'm home if I'm not out with, you know, my circle,
Mm-hmm.
or at work, or taking care of my mind and body.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, there's sacrifices that have to be made, and I always put my family first. So sometimes I won't go to the gym if there's something at home, and I always try to make them feel like they're always number one.
Mm.
But it's hard balance.
Yeah.
You know, balance is tough. Like it's tough to be in the, you know, the growth mindset and still be totally present at home. And, you know, so I'm working on it. I'm
Mhm.
working on that balance. Sometimes, to be honest, I do go maybe in the direction of, you know, personal development. And
Yeah.
Danielle is kind of, you know, bring me in a little and say, hey, you know, you don't need to go work out today. I know you want to, and I know it's part of your routine, but like he's potty training and we need you. So she helps me with that balance a lot.
Yeah. Makes me think about a conversation that I had with my wonderful girlfriend, Catherine.
The best.
And she said, you know, I would appreciate you being a little more present at times, because what I'm finding is there are opportunities as men for us to gain, you know, if you want to look at it as a point system with your significant other, it's a good way to look at it.
Oh,
Right? You need to be in the green for sure.
You gotta have your gun loaded.
You got to be in the green. But where I've been, you know, kind of missing a little bit is conversations that may not seem so important to you are very important to the other person. And I've caught myself now multiple times being like, you didn't say that to me. And she's like, David, yes, I did.
Right.
And the other day she actually told me straight up, like, I would really appreciate, you know, you working on being a little bit more present in certain conversations. Right. So it's just one of the things that I need to add to my 2025 list of, you know, becoming a better man.
Right.
For you, where are you focused on getting better, and how do you want to improve your personal life?
Look, I'm a forgetful person, you know. Danielle always tells me, like, you're just like the typical guy. I want to start getting better.
Typical Joe.
Yeah, regular Joe.
Right? Oh, that's what it was.
I want to get better at keeping her in mind, and her dates and her things that she has planned, and, you know, her personal growth. You know, I feel like a lot of my house is about my personal growth, and I don't give her enough time to do that and do her own thing and make sure she's taking care of herself. So I think 2025, I want to start letting it be known to her that, you know, I'm writing down what you're saying. I'm going to remember it. You're not going to have to repeat yourself 1,000 times. And this is your journey too. So I want you to, you know, take control and go do what you want to do as far as getting, you know, keeping yourself right.
What would you say is a core value that you hope to instill in RJ? And my hope is that whatever you say, it's something that you live. So how do you live that out in your everyday action?
I mean, I think overall, like, stoicism. I want him to be a stoic man. I don't want him to fall apart when things go bad. I want him to be in control. You know, I understand that life's not easy, and the world's not going to take it on easy on my son because I'm asking it to. You know, I want to instill in him that a man stands strong, even when he has to just endure. And sometimes you just have to endure. you know, that's, you know, really what I want for him. It's just to be a stoic man and respectful and, you know, open doors for women and be polite, because I don't think one thing in my life I always was respectful to people. And if I wasn't respectful to people, I don't think I wouldn't be here today, because there were so many times in my life where, you know, I wasn't worth anything, you know, like who would give me a job as a waiter? You know, this person would, because I was always respectful to them. You know, my brother was respectful to them. So I want him to always know that respect goes a very long way, you know?
I'm looking at you, man, because you're impressing me.
Oh, am I?
You
Cool.
are. You're you know, over the past year that I've gotten to know you, and you've been open about this too, you know, you weren't that comfortable sharing your story, telling your purpose, and just speaking on things like this. But you say things with it's true belief and conviction behind it, you know? And that's something that I really appreciate about you, man. And I just want to say, you know, you are getting so much better. I mean, to the point that, like, it seems like you've been doing this for forever. What do you think it is? Like, what have you been really working on to level up your really your presence? You know, your presence, your wisdom, your knowledge, and kind of like owning your story. And I'm asking you this question because I think a lot of people have these talents inside of them, you know, but they don't know how to bring it out and expose it. And I think you're a perfect example of that.
So
you're supposed to say thank you first.
Oh, thank you very much for all that. I really do appreciate that. You know, I think for a while I was nervous about talking about it, or, you know, talking about my fitness journey or my past or whatever, any good things about myself, because I didn't want to be self-absorbed. I didn't want to come off as like making it all about me, or, you know, that was something I was really fearful of. And I realized by doing that, I was really just staying comfortable, because it was uncomfortable for me to talk about my past honestly. It was uncomfortable for me to, you know, publicly speak, and, you know, just kind of getting comfortable with knowing that I do have a purpose. I do have a voice. I'm doing it out of the goodness of my heart. I'm doing it to give back. I'm not doing it so people could say, look at me, or so I could prove people wrong that didn't bet on me. It's, you know, that's something I really was afraid of. I didn't want people to think that I was doing it for, you know, for my personal ego.
Well, I think that's very, very clear. You know, it's not that by any means, but also, like, it's funny because even at you know, dinners, events, anytime one of us get up to speak, there's somebody that's always recording that person, and then we'll send the video to each other and kind of, you know, just say things that we can work on. So you really, you know, taking action steps to get better, but it's definitely clear, my brother. Really, really proud of you.
Thanks, Dad.
So that's something we debate offline all the time. I like it, I guess. I mean, because there's certain people in my life that do tell me that they're proud of me, but I kind of struggle with that, because I feel like when somebody tells me that, I'm like, exactly what Joe just said, like, thanks, Dad. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
But I do want to say that I acknowledge the growth. You know, and we got to come up with a better way than I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of you, buddy.
The
little Vin Maselli for you. I'm proud of you, buddy.
The dagger. This episode is brought to you by Whitaker Garage Doors, your one-stop shop for all things garage doors. Proudly based in Peekskill, New York. Your home is a direct reflection of your personal style. And let's face it, your garage doors are the first thing people see when they pull up your driveway. Whether you're looking for the timeless charm of a classic carriage house door or the clean, sleek look of a basic wood finish, Whitaker Garage Doors offers traditional options for every taste and budget. I can personally vouch for their incredible service. When I had my own garage doors done, I was blown away by their timeliness, professionalism, and overall respect for their clients. Jonathan, Cassara, and their entire team are top-notch, and they really go the extra mile to ensure you're happy with the final result. So if you're in the market for a new garage door or need some repairs, give them a call or find them on Instagram at Whitaker_doors. Don't forget to tell them you're a friend of Dave's over at the No Snooze podcast. Whitaker Doors. You won't regret it. Now, back to the epi. What would you say to somebody who feels overwhelmed by life's challenges and unsure of how to even start getting out of the rut that they've been in for a year, 2 years, 5 years, maybe 30 years.
Well, first off, life is very overwhelming. And as you get older and the more you grow in a positive way, the more overwhelming life can get. So kind of get used to it. If you're in a rut, you really need to sit down and write down the things you're doing wrong on a piece of paper. I did it. Jordan Peterson, I heard him say it somewhere, get on the end of your bed and write down everything you're doing wrong and really look at it because you know exactly what you're doing wrong.
Give me examples of that.
For me, it was sleeping in. It was eating. It was the victim mentality. It was blaming people. The list was long. And I started to check those things off slowly. And one thing I started with physical. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I felt. Changed my diet, started working out, started cold plunging, and I started implementing a routine that I was really going to stick to. Now, that routine first looked like cold plunge, work out for 30 minutes, then go to work, right? Check. Started checking things off the list. So I kept promises to myself. So you can start with 10 push-ups a day. Write it down on a piece of paper or in your notes on your phone. And then when you get up the next morning, say, I'm going to do 10 push-ups a day at 8 o'clock in the morning before I go to work. Check. Start keeping a list of things that you have to knock out during the day and start checking them off the list. That'll help you get out of a rut. But you have to know what you're doing wrong first. You have to know what you want to change. This list isn't for anybody but you. You know, it's okay to be honest with yourself. I know it hurts, but you have to learn how to be honest with yourself.
Fire. Too many people deflect nowadays, you know, and they play the blame game because it's easy, you know, and I'll say this, they're not necessarily wrong, right? Like the blame that you're placing on other people, there is some level of truth to it by all means.
Of course.
But the reality is those people are not going to be the ones to change your life. The only person that can change your life is that person that's in the mirror. I would even challenge you to take that list and actually put it in your bathroom mirror. So you look at it and take a second to look at yourself and realize that you're not happy. I will share a moment that I remember specifically, and I'll just call this the moment in the mirror. It was about 3:30 in the morning, and I was in a casino doing a whole bunch of things, gambling, having fun. I'm not going to get too specific with it, but I was drinking a lot of alcohol. And I drank to the point that I was vomiting, like really vomiting. And, you know, when you drink too much and you're throwing up like that, your eyes get like really, really, really bloodshot. So I come up, you know, my hands were on the toilet. I come up, I flush the toilet. I put my hands on the sink and my head was down and I slowly lifted my head up and I looked myself dead in the face. And at that moment, I realized that I've never looked at myself like that, being drunk and all, never looked myself in the eyes like that. Because I've always looked myself, you know, like when I put an outfit on or a nice fur coat or something like that. But I never took the time to stare dead into the mirror and look into my eyes. And that moment spoke to me. And it was a big, big moment for me that started, right? It wasn't that moment that then I changed, but that moment started me in the path of becoming sober, making good decisions, and really being mindful of the things that I was doing. So I love what Joe said, but I would challenge you, take that list and bang it onto the wall so you can actually look at it and do it, right? Don't just listen to this and be like, oh, that's a really good idea. I think that hits for me. A lot of people do that too. Like if it hits for you, do it.
Go try it.
Go try it.
Go try it.
I love what you just said, man. Awesome. What would you say is your ultimate vision for the future, both career and personal life? Tough question, but today I actually heard something that was phenomenal and I wish I could steal it, right? But I can't. I'll give the credit. Can't even tell you what Instagram page I saw it from, Daily Dad. And I just posted it on my story. But it said the ultimate success is when your children grow up and they still want to be around you. And that was something that I was like, wow. Like, I'm grateful because I do want to be around both of my parents nowadays. So they did a phenomenal job, regardless of any stress that was going on in the home. But I was like, am I pouring too much into my own like personal growth, personal business, doing things on a level that like I need to start thinking with that in mind. And I think that's a piece of my ultimate success, right? That's not the end all be all. But for me to be able to sit down 20 years from now and Callie be calling, dying, Daddy, you know, let's get a workout in, or, you know, let me come over for Christmas or this or that. Yeah. I think that would be a really dope thing. Yeah. Right. So yeah, that wasn't my ultimate vision. I heard it. I'm going to steal it and adopt it. And I'm sure that hit for you too, having a child. But what would you say is like your ultimate vision?
Oof. You know, so much of why I do this is for my family. And, yeah, if I could grow up and, you know, RJ still, you know, man, what a question.
It's tough.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could just see RJ raising his child in a similar way that I raised him. And so I really did break the generational curse. Like I really did. Like I come from a long lineage of divorce, a long lineage of fatherless. And I just want my last name to be, you know, known for good men. That's all I'm trying to do, is just raise a good man, you know? And I want him to always take care of his mom, you know, because I know how important it is for a son to take care of their mother. You know, I want him to know that. I want him to know that, you know, yeah, you're a baby and, you know, you're my son, but you're also in training for if anything was to happen to me. I want you to be strong, and I want you to be kind and loving, but I also want you to be a dog. I don't want anybody to ever walk all over you. I want you to be able to eat their lunch if you have to. You know?
I love that.
Yeah.
It is a tough question, right?
Yeah.
Because your mind can go to so many places.
Yeah, but I'm happy you said that though.
Yeah.
I'm happy you said that, because sometimes I almost said financial. I almost said something financial, and like, yeah, finances are great, bro. But at the end of the day, that doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't.
Yeah. Sean and I were just talking about that at dinner the other day. And like, you know, there's a significant level of increase in happiness when you go from like, say 50K to 150K.
Right.
But the science actually behind like 150K to like 500 is really nothing.
No.
And you think it's like so much more than it is, because, you know, I've been in a place that I'm like, I just need 50,000 more.
Yeah.
And then I get there and I'm like, it's not even close. Like the debt's still there. The mistakes are still there. Like everything is still there. So unless you gave me 10 million tomorrow to like really begin to change, like that the money thing is not that important. But I do have to get to a place. My girlfriend is very, very good at this. She doesn't see an end to money. It means nothing to her, right? And I want to begin to adopt that. Yeah. You know, she truly believes that like she can go out and go get any and everything that she wants, and she does it. You know, like there's no bar. But like I used to be so obsessed. I knew what I wanted to do when I was 15 years old, right? Like being a camp counselor, and knowing that I wanted to, you know, be in local government and be a commissioner. But the reality is like, you know, okay, wow. $150,000, $250,000 a year. Like it sounds really good. Yeah. It does. And to people who are making 50,000, you're like, wow, that's incredible. Yeah, but it's not. Finances aren't everything.
Being someone who's been broke, I don't know how many times, dude, but a lot. I mean, there's been times where I was happier broke than I was with money. And like I love making money now, and it's nice, you know, you get to buy nice things for your family and you get to help people out.
And you went from the Tonka truck to a big boy truck. I see what you did.
Exactly. Dave Regino approved. But no, I mean, finances are great. And I love to be able to, you know, hopefully down the road, there's a lot of things happening with Ace, and, you know, you get to be a part of that when, you know, your finances are right. But, I mean, I'd be fine if I was broke too. I'd still be able to eat and figure it out.
Find a way,
you know? That's it.
I love it. Before we end, I want to ask you, what are you most proud of in your life? And I'm asking you specifically because I know that's a tough question for you, right? You've openly shared that like, you don't want to be the guy to boast. You don't want to be this. You don't want to be that. But I just want to tell you, you deserve to be here.
Thanks, man.
And not just here on this podcast by any means, but you deserve to be on a platform to encourage and inspire not only men and not only individuals in recovery, but anybody that's looking to grow.
Right.
You've come an extremely long way, and yeah, we got a long way to go.
Yeah.
And I say we, like all of
Yeah.
us, right, in life. But what would you say to date is something that you're most proud of?
My sobriety. It's so hard. I mean, it's so hard, you know, and I think people have a misconception sometimes where they think like, you know, after, 2-3 years, you know, because the obsession does go away. It does. I mean, when you hit a bottom hard enough, I mean, I firmly believe that. And everybody's bottom's different. I thought I hit bad bottoms, but, you know, the most recent one the obsession did go away. But drugs and alcohol are just a symptom of the actual problems. My thinking was the problem. The way an addict thinks is the problem, you know? So to be able to get past that every day and stop making excuses and stop justifying and, you know, attack every day and get to work. Yeah, my sobriety and being able to stay sober through all the hard times is definitely the proudest thing in my life.
Awesome. And now I like to steal people's mantras, and I know you probably have and live by a couple of them, but what would you say are personal mantras of yours that you focus on, you know, daily and think about a lot?
I mean, simply put, and I've said this before, I think I might have said it at dinner, and I didn't come up with it. I don't think, I think I heard it somewhere. Just be the person you needed when you were a kid. And I think about that a lot when I get up in the morning. You know, I think about like the guy I needed and like how, like what he looked like and what he was about, you know, and the toughness he brought and the kindness he brought, you know, being able to love and fight, you know? So yeah, be the person you needed when you were a kid.
I love it. Anything that you want to touch on that I did not give you an opportunity to touch on? And don't text me when you leave and be like, oh, I should have said this. I should have said that. Now's your opportunity.
No. Just something for you, bro. Like, I know a lot of people listen to this and, you know, they might think like you embellish a lot about like your personal life, and you really are who you say you are. And I really do love and respect you. You know, the way you parent Callie and, you know, what you've been through personally and everything, like you are exactly who the fuck you say you are. And that is something I'll always respect about you. And I honestly look up to, and that's something I try to do. I try to be who I say I am. And a lot of that's because of you. So I love you, bro.
I love you, my brother. Thank you for that.
Yeah, man.
Wow. I received that. I really do. That's one of the best compliments I think I've ever received.
You're not getting a lot more of those compliments.
I know. And yeah, thank God that he still looks a little bit smaller than BCB. So thank you. Look, he's dwindling away.
You know.
No, man, this was awesome. It was a long time coming, but you know, I think we waited for the right time.
Yeah, me too.
You know, I think there was you know, just the time in our relationship we've been able to experience certain things about one another, really get to know each other. And I love sitting down with individuals who are close friends of mine. And I look at you as a brother. I'm grateful for you. And I'm excited for you. I'm excited for us to continue this journey,
Big
man.
things.
So where can everybody find you? That's your camera right there. Just talk to the people for us.
On Instagram, it's IceXIron. Yeah, that's it, man. Just, you know, give me a follow. I do a lot of stuff with Ace, so, you know, connected there. And if you ever need anything, just DM me. No, like seriously, if you ever need anything, or, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, I could drop everything and just go to your house, but I'm always open for a workout. You know, just like Dave did for me, I'm willing to do for somebody else. So reach out.
That's a bold move. You're either going to get people who are way too intimidated to work out with you, or you're going to get an abundance. So hopefully there's a balance there. But great episode, man. Thank you again.
Yeah, man, thank you.
And guys, Happy New Year to you. I do have to say, Joe, this has been the most impactful episode of 2025.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's the first one.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But no, and on top of that, I do want to say that, you know, this is probably one of the most impactful episodes that we've had. I think it's very relatable. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And that's Joe's, you know, that's our dynamic, is we bust each other's chops, but we also acknowledge where credit is due. So whether you listen to one episode or 205 episodes, We just want to say thank you. We encourage you guys to challenge yourself in 2025. Do something that's a little bit different than you've done in 2024. I know I say it a lot, but if you continue to do the same shit, you will be in the same exact place this time next year, hoping that you made the change. So whether it is a cold shower, whether it is picking up a book, whether it is meditating, jumping in an ice bath, like my brother Ice and Iron here, there's always some way to improve. And I want to leave you guys with that. You can shop the latest merch at nosnoozeshop.com. And until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it.
Joe motherfucking K. You killed that. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's another epi in the books. You can follow us on Instagram at No Snooze Podcast and leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze. Shop the latest merch at nosnoozeshop.com. Come on.